All right, welcome guys. I'm going to run through what I see in the stock market. We're going to use technical analysis to evaluate where I think things are heading. I hope this helps. Let's get right into it. Leave me a thumbs up. We'll start out with SPY. All right, so here's what I see in SPY right now. The market has been moving higher on pretty weak structure. One thing, when I talk about structure, I mean the market consensus is just not there. You can see we've been gapping up. We've been making this series of gaps where we gap higher, and move up, gap higher and move up. We've created all these gaps that probably are going to get filled. So I would expect that we break down and fill these gaps, but maybe we're going to do some sort of a back test all the way up here at 360. Sorry, I got to slide this down to get it. 370 or so. Now, if we do that back test up around 370, it's going to be a major divergent high here on the weekly. You can see here we've been making a series of lower highs on the RSI, and if you look at the monthly, momentum is fading. All right, so the momentum has been fading in this market since 2018, January of 2018, and you can see even though price has been moving higher. This says that there's less and less participation. Momentum is fading. Price is moving higher. So if you just follow price, then you believe that the momentum is strong. But the RSI and the PPO indicators tell you differently. They show you that momentum is actually fading. Each new high that we're making is on less and less momentum, less and less participation. So if we run up here and make a new high, it should be a new, a divergent high where price is making a new high, where the momentum is making, equal or lower lows basically than before. So I'm watching for that. That is something that I think is possible. And so we'll continue to look to see if we get any kind of indication that we're going to move higher. Qs is flagging right now. So you can see we gapped up, we moved higher, and we're just kind of flagging up in this area. I think we'll probably hold. And what I'm expecting is we hold and we run up and do another final push up to around 306, 307. Back test the broken trend line, which is the trend line that we had really going back to April. This is the trend line that the market was just walking up the entire time. We then broke the trend, sold off a little bit, consolidated, and then we're coming in for a full back test. So I think a move all the way up there is going to be, possibly where we'll find some major resistance. We do have this gap that was created yesterday, so I think that's going to fill, but maybe we run up and do that tag of that resistance and then roll over and fill the gaps, and possibly a lot lower. So I'm looking for that as a potential area to short at up here. Gold's getting rejected again. So gold's in a downtrend. It's obvious. Here's your trend line, your downtrend line, kind of the top end of the resistance line. Reaction there. We got one there. We got a couple right there. Another right here. We continue to get rejected and move lower. The bottom of the trend line, if we, puts us maybe something like that, we'll watch. But ultimately, heading down here to this 1838, I think we're going to run down and tag 1790. I think 1790 is major support that should hold. That's where I'm looking for to be a buyer of the gold miners and whatnot again. So miners, this is Barrick Gold, kind of my bellwether miner I use. I was just, anybody who's been following this channel, they go back to the daily. And if you watch some of my older videos, I was bullish Barrick all the way down here. Here was the breakout. I was saying it's a longer term breakout. I was buying Barrick down at 13 bucks. I bought some down around 9, 10 bucks. It then ran up to 30, basically 30 bucks. I sold it right here. This is where I sold it. 28.40, I believe, was right there. And if you look at where we've gone really since then, we've gotten pretty much nowhere, just sideways. Yeah, we dipped, ran a little higher, but ultimately we've really kind of just gone nowhere. So I think we need to burn off some of the enthusiasm, have a move down a little bit, and then the longer term longs can buy back in on on a dip. Now with Barrick, you know, it isn't a bull market. It's in a longer term bull market now. So I do expect a move. I do expect this to go up longer term, but I think in the shorter term we got to pull back and come down some more. XOV looks like it wants to run up and tag the top of the trend right up here around 111, about 112. So I expect we tag that, probably get rejected there, and then sell off. XLF. XLF looks like it wants to do a back test of one of these trend lines, which could intersect and come in up around this 2850. So maybe XLF is making a move up to 2850, and then there it will reject. As of right now, I don't see anything bearish. I mean, it's bearish because we're below all the major trend lines. So it is bearish longer term. In the shorter term on this daily chart, and if I look at the hourly here, looks like it's just, continues to kind of work its way up within this uptrend. So you've got on the hourly, you've got kind of an uptrend like this. We're just kind of working our way up right at support right now. So until I see something change, it's short-term bullish, but longer term it's bearish because it's under major resistance line on the higher time frame charts. Redfin, I'm watching this one for a short trade, and here, this one is interesting. A couple of things. So there's negative divergence here on the RSI. You can see it right there. Momentum is moving down, and price has been making slightly higher highs, just marginal highs right here, divergent high right there. So that sets this up for a possible short trade because momentum is fading. Then you look for trend line breaks of trend lines, breaks of price support, and the kind of the nearest price support that I could find is this trend line right here on the hourly. We had a couple reactions. It's not my favorite, I will say that. Just because there's not that many reactions, but it's enough, I guess, to say that this is kind of the price support. And we just broke it today. So we broke down, looks like we came up and did almost a back test, kind of starting to roll over. So this is potentially in an objective area to short. And really for a move all the way down to the major trend line is what I see. So if I go here on the daily, you can see here, we've got this trend line right here that it's held over on the daily. So I'm looking for a move down to the bottom of that trend line. And that's a move of roughly, I think it's about 40%, or sorry, maybe I'm completely off, 15%. A move of about 15% on the, to tag that trend line again. So that's kind of the shorter term trade. And then, we'll look for a bigger trade, and if it does roll over, you'll have negative divergence here on the daily as well. And you do have it going way back a ways. It's been extended for a while. This is all divergent high price action on the daily. But one of the things is you don't want to just short something because it's, diverging in momentum. You want to look for the price support. So on the daily chart, that's all the way down here. And so we would need to see that break in order to trigger a bigger sell signal for a larger move to the downside. But right now, I think on the hourly, to me, it looks good. It looks like it wants to roll down to 46, 47, depending on when it actually gets there. DraftKings, I'm kind of done with this one for at least for right now. I'd be interested in maybe reestablishing a short up here, up around 55, 66. Down at this level, there's nothing to do. I don't want to short here. I don't want to be long here. We broke trend. We broke the major trend. Really had this one targeted perfectly. Nice clean negative divergence. We sold off about a 25% gain on that one, and we're just kind of done with that. So I'll keep an eye on it. If it pops up to resistance 55.70, 55.68. then that might be the area where, expect it to probably pop it slightly, but you'd look for it to fail right up there. And if it fails, then we move down, probably down to this 43.71, which would be the next target. This is one of my favorite ones right now, PHM. I like it short. The reason why I like it short Negative divergence on the daily chart here. You can see nice, clean negative divergence. And price continues to, kind of work its way higher, making marginally new higher prices. And each time you get a divergent high, there's usually not a lot of staying power in that price. And that's because you have momentum fading. Excuse me. So momentum's fading, price is making new higher highs, looking for a break of trend. We broke back here. We've been kind of back testing. Here's the trend line that I've got on the daily. You can see reaction, 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 reaction right in here. And then we broke, and we haven't been able to recover that. So that validates that trend line. We've just been rejected at resistance each time. Rejected here, rejected right there, rejected right there. So it should be fading soon. I'm expecting a gap down coming on this thing probably tomorrow or this week sometime. It could also do another back test of the trend line, but it does look like it's really starting to fade. And so I'm expecting a gap down, and I'm looking for this to gap fill right here at 40. The line is about 40, we'll call it $40, but looking for that to gap fill at about $40. And that's a move of about 18.5% down to there. So that one is a trade idea that I like. Everything in here is just my opinion, of course, so please understand that. Same with Carvana. Nice clean negative divergence right there on the daily chart. You can see it, and prices made higher highs as we are diverging in momentum. So I'm looking for this to gap fill as well, down at 173.60. Probably get a reaction there, and then maybe come down to this 115. That's a ways down there, actually. 115 would be a drop of 45%. So that's most likely not going to happen until the tech rolls over. So keep an eye on that. Okay, I'll leave you with one final idea. I think Etsy is going to fail here. I don't know if it will, but I think it's going to. Here's why. Trend line right here in Etsy. You can see we just had several reactions. There's one, there's a couple, there's another, here's another right here. Then we broke and came in and ramped up for a back test. Now, we've overshot just slightly, and we've recovered that trend line, but this is where they'll fake it out, and this is where it'll fail. They make it look like it's going to recover, and then they roll it down, and it'll fail. So watch for that here on the hourly. Look for this thing to have some selling back down to this 150, 20 sometime today, most likely, and then that will help confirm that this trend line is valid and that did hold as resistance. So I'm watching for that to see if that actually plays out. We get some sort of a reversal. If we get the reversal, it's going to be a doji candle, and then you look for confirmation the following day. So that's kind of the setup that I see. Now on the daily, negative divergence here on the daily, but it needs to turn down, right around now in order to confirm this negative divergence. We have the negative divergence right here. This was a divergent high, and this right now is a divergent high as well. If it turns down now, it will confirm that negative divergence. If it doesn't turn down and continues higher, there is the potential that it can burn through the negative divergence and recover the support line. So it's kind of at the transition zone. It's in the area where it should roll over, and now we just wait and watch. And that's all I got for today. Just a quick run through of what I'm seeing. So thank you. Catch you guys on the next one.